So I have two sisters, right? Um, my full blood sister is married to a American, Mexican American, right? He's not under any. He's a citizen. He's not even have to naturalize or immigrate or anything. Um, but it's my other sister's husband is the reason why my mom is freaking out, because he is in danger of getting deported back to either Russia or Africa, because he's both. So one of his families, he has to choose or something like that. He could go to Russia or he could go to Africa. He kind of looks like a kid from Kid and Play, except he's kind of like that. You don't have to look like that. He doesn't look like Kid from Kid and Play or Play. He doesn't look like Play, the light skinned dude. But I would equate him to like that. It's like he's college educated from multiple countries. I'm not saying that that's a reason that, I'm just saying as far as how his situation will fare, it doesn't equate to the amount of cortisol that, because my mom was like, you could tell she had a vein busting in her head. That's cortisol. So, yeah, I was peaking. Whatever you want to say about whose information is facts or accurate, or who's better at being reasonable or whatever, like, we can figure all that shit out later. That was just cortisol. And how much worry, because some people are addicted to worry and fret, and they won't pass an opportunity to have that cortisol peaking. And the problem is that they close themselves off to so much, and they still want to be the authority on that, or the arbitrator. So it's like, you can arbitrate, and it's so frustrating, but the problem is whether or not your information is valid enough for you to express this much fret and worry. Like, oh, you don't want to get deported. That doesn't mean that they're going to get divorced. That doesn't mean that whatever they go through won't be a testimonial. What if he was one of those dudes that found a few coins from a tropical island, and he wanted to fucking go hunt for treasure his whole life because those coins whispered to him? You know what I mean? Like, he believed that Spanish bullion, that there was he's following evidence plausible enough, and he found these coins on the beach on that island. And even though he's not going to ever find the treasure, he's going to be spurred on by those coins whispering to him. So his wife has to move onto the island, and then when he has to run for supplies or something, he tells her, I'm going to be back in 6 weeks, and he comes back in fucking 2 years later because he got blown off course. You know what I mean? He left her there all by herself. That's just a testimonial to the strength of people's commitment to each other. They really loving each other. You could never know that she got sick and nursed herself back to health just to be there when he returned, because he knew that he would. Even though he was late, it doesn't matter. You said you were going to be back in 2 weeks. It's 6 weeks. It's 8 weeks. It's 14 weeks. No, it's like 2 years and something like that. And just faith. Just faith. I would be worried about that. I would be worried about that. Find you a square. Can't she just find herself a square and marry him? He doesn't take too much risk. He works hard. and he scrimps and he saves. He cuts corners, and even though he won't ever amount to much, he will always be stable. Like he's gonna be like you can step on him to get to a higher place. He'll even die to make sure that you can forge ahead in some way or something like that. Why, if you don't willing to do that, you shouldn't even get married in the first place. So you should protect them from anyone who's worthy of being married to them. I want your marriage to be a sham, like, so that I just know that you won't, have to go on a full campaign with the most treacherous such thing as two people who are in love with each other. Commitment sounds like an adventure, but I mean, sheesh. The Avengers, there's always a cursed artifact or a location where you have to go to the edge of the earth, where it's the most like lonely and treacherous. How are you supposed to be lonely? Because it's also the definition of lonely. How do you know if someone's lonely based on the parameters that you want to perceive they are? Because they would be separated for years and years. You didn't even get to know, like, missed out on most of your child's growth because you were, floating on a freaking beast of an ocean, just like up, to the whims of the natural forces or Mother Nature or something like that. It's like, damn, you only need to go on 1 or 2 jobs and retire back then. But then, what if you were a leader or something like that? It's like you have to go, if you're a captain, you got to go down with the ship. If you're a king, you can't leave when you're deposed. You can't run when you're being deposed, because that doesn't unify people behind you, so you would lose your edge. So you already know, and the wife already knows too. Everybody else can catch up, but she was gonna break it down though. We're gonna forget the knowledge. This is all about multimedia, so we have to choose the form of multimedia that can't be erased. And even though you can erase all of it somehow, we haven't invented anything that can't. It's just the best one, Back to the Stone Age. That'll take you back to the Stone Age. Because you can counterfeit all our money and shit like that. You fool the banks, too. I don't know if I want to talk about that. But you're supposed to know something about that. And then if you think so, almost anything, if you think there's a threat, you can try to expose it for everybody. But how do we know you're not in on it at some level? Until everything happens. You ever watched 24? How many times did Jack Bauer save the country and the president for him to go back on the lam? He was an enemy again. I half-ass believe that shit.